Okay, let's go to the second module. And this one will be automatic network provision. And I will divide this one into 5 steps. The first step is about configuration for network resources in the policy templates. What we are going to do is we are going to use the physical devices, the switches, and the AP to perform or to make up a fabric. A fabric is that we are using some technology to pooling the network resources. Okay, after that we call the all of the network a fabric. And second, we are going to use this fabric to create one or multiple different virtual networks. One virtual network is using for a specific purpose, for example, the OA, the R&D, or the IoT. And we are going to call this layer the overlay layer. Okay, so the underlay, the fabric, the overlay. AC 3.0, the controller will help us to finish the configuration on the switches. In order to let the AC 3.0 finish the job, you have to define the resources pool. For example, the VLAN ID, the loopback IP address pool, the bridge domain ID pool, and the VNI pool, so that the AC 3.0 can pick one or multiple instance from the pool and using, for example, using the VLAN ID to finish the configuration on the device so that all of the devices can perform a fabric. And the second step, for this version of Cloud Campus, we are going to use a highlight feature that will be the underlay automation. Okay, underlay automation. That means the underlay configuration, for example, the interconnect VLAN, interconnect IP address, and also the OSPF, the routing protocol. All of these configuration, we call them the underlay configuration. The underlay configuration can all be done by AC 3.0. You do not need to log into the device. And in order to do that, you also have to define the underlay automation resources pool. And the third one will be the policy templates, because that we want every single host in the campus to be authenticated before they can connect to the campus network. Okay, so we may need the radio server template, we may need the portal server template and authentication template for .1x authentication, for MAC authentication, and for portal authentication. Let's go back to the AC 3.0 for this one. Go to the design and find the network setting. Okay, you can see we enter the Fabric Global Resource Pool. I have to also to introduce the documentation, a very important documentation. As you can see that during the demonstration of the whole Cloud Campus solution, you have to input many parameters. For example, the VLAN ID, the IP address segment, and all of these parameters we have already prepared for you. You can go to the, okay, after you enter the environments, the topology, okay, after you enter the environments, let's go to the description on the right, and you can find the topology data planning documentation here. Okay, just click this one. Different environments have different data planning files. Okay, so you must enter your environment to get your according data planning documentation, and you can download this one from the website. And what we are going to do is to open the documentation And for the data planning file, you can see we have the topology, we have the interface ID on each device, the IP address, and the SN number of the switch. So for the fabric global resource pool, you can go to the chapter 2.1 fabric global resource pool. Okay, you can see for the VLAN we have the information here. Okay, and for the loopback interface IP, we already have IPv4, IPv6 IP address segment here. Okay, and for the bridge domain is according to here. Okay, bridge domain 2001 to 3000, 2001 to 3000. Okay, and also the VXLAN network identifier here. After you finish this one, the controller will handle the pools that you define here. For example, the VLAN will be used to assign to the stations. Okay, and for the loopback interface, this will be the IP segment that the controller will pick up one of the IP address to assign to the device. For example, every single device will get two loopback interface. One is for the connection for BGP, EVPN, and the second loopback interface is used to communicate with the network resources. For example, the Radius server, the portal server. Okay, so every single device, the switches may have two different loopback interface. That's why we create two different IP segments here. Okay, and for the bridge domain, because we are going to use the VXLAN technology to create multiple overlay network over the fabric. So the VXLAN must have the parameter, for example, the bridge domain, the VXLAN network identifier. We have to define the segment. This is for the global fabric resource. And next, we are going to create the underlay automation resources pool. Okay, let's switch to the underlay automate resource pool. And you can see we just need to input two information here. The first one is the device interconnection VLAN. That means the VLAN that the AC 3.0 will assign to the device for the connection between the switches. For example, the edge to the border, they may need one VLAN. For example, the VLAN 21. Okay, the AC 3.0 will pick one of the VLAN from the pool to assign to the device. And the second information is about the IP address using for device interconnection. We are also going to define a IP subnet here. Okay, and both the information you can find them here inside of the documentation. The data planning, this is the second step. And the third, we are going to create policy templates, a Radius server template, a third-party portal template, and two authentication templates. Let's go to the design template management. And you can see we are under policy template here. And you can see on the left we have many different kind of the template. For example, the Radius server. We are going to click this one, Radius server, and you can create a new Radius server template here. Because that we are going to deploy three different authentication inside of the campus network. The first one is the .1x. The second one is the portal, and the third will be the MAC authentication. Okay, and all of the authentication method may use the Radius server. Okay, that will be the AC 1.0. And for the portal server, portal authentication may need a portal server, also the AC 1.0. Okay, so the Radius server AC 1.0, the portal server AC 1.02. Okay, AC 1.0 will perform these two important functions. Okay, so In order to deploy the authentication that I mentioned about, first we have to create one radio server template, one portal server template, and the authentication template. Okay, so first let's go to the radio server, and you can create a new radio server. A name, this one can be user defined. Okay? Just remember the name of the template. And for the IP address of the authentication server, you can find the information here. Okay, IP address, the key. Okay, here, IP address, the key. You can set the key here. Okay, after you finish the configuration, you can click the OK. Okay, this is the radio server template I have already created. Okay, and for the third-party portal server, that will be also the AC 1.0. Okay, you can create one and input the name, input the IP address, port number, and the URL of the portal, the key. All of the information you can follow the documentations. Okay, name, IP address, the port number, the URL, the key. And after that, we have already defined a portal server template. And the last will be the authentication template. What you have to do is to create two different authentication template. One is for .1x and MAC authentication, and the second is used for portal authentication. Okay, for the first one, let's click the modify so that you can see the configuration. Okay, name is user defined, and you have to enable the 802.1x and the MAC here so that this template can cover the authentication method of .1x and MAC authentication. For the radio server template, you must choose the one that you have just defined in the radio server menu, and domain will be default, and the other parameter can keep default value. And click OK here. And for the portal authentication template, the name, and you must enable the portal authentication mode, and the radio server, choose the one you just defined here. And the third party portal server template, you must choose the one you defined in the third party portal server menu. Okay, and other parameter can keep the default value. Okay, click OK. And after that, you have already created two authentication templates here. Okay, just follow the authentication template information inside of the data planning documentation. Okay, and after that, we have already finished the configuration for network resources and the policy templates. Okay, the first step. So let's go to the second step. We are going to create a fabric and deploy Underlay network. And for this one, we divide this one into three sub-steps. The first one, I'm going to create a fabric. During the creation of the fabric, you have to select the networking type, and you have to add the devices into the fabric and choose or define the role of the nodes. For example, which one will be the border, which one will be edge device, which one will be an access device, something like that. And you can enable the automatic calculation of routing domains. That means if you wanted to let the AC 3.0 to finish the underlay configuration for the routing protocol of the devices. Now the second step is that we are going to finish the configuration of the fabric so that the fabric can connect to the external resources. For example, the external gateway or the external service resources. Okay, and the last one will be the policy association configuration. Okay, let's go to the first one. And let's move to the provision, and you can see that we have several different menu here. Let's go to the fabric management. Okay, click this one. We can enter the fabric management page here. By default, you may see nothing here. Okay, no fabric here. And because that I have already created a fabric so you can see the fabric topology here. But if you get the environments, if you have already reset the environments, you may see nothing here. Okay, so that you have to create a new one for yourself. Okay, let's go to the create fabric. And on this page, let's input some information for the fabric. The name can be user defined. Okay, and for the networking type, you can choose one of the type. Centralized means that you want the core switch, I mean the border, to be the gateway of the stations inside of the campus. Okay, and the distributed one is mean that you want the aggregation switch or the edge switch to be the gateway, the layer 3 gateway of the end stations. Okay, let's choose this one. For example, distribute. And you may see the devices that you added into the site A on the list here. Okay, and for now you can see nothing here. That's because I have already added the devices into the fabric that I have already created. So if you get the information, if you follow the step from the whole beginning, you may see the devices list here. Okay, let's choose all of the devices, and you can see the device may be available on the page here. Okay, let's move to the guidance. You may see the interface like this. Okay, you can choose the site A. Okay, choose the site A, and after you click this one, you can see the devices available on the or inside of site A here. Okay, let's choose all of the devices here, and of course you can click the select all button here so that you can choose every single devices here. And let's configure the role of the device. For example, the A access, that may be the extended node. Okay, A edge will be the edge of the fabric. B access will be the extended node. Okay, B edge will be edge device, and the border will be one border device in the fabric. Okay, so what you are going to do during the creation of the fabric, you have to define the name, choose the networking type to distribute, and choose the site, and choose the role of the device. Okay, follow the guide. Okay, and you can also see the guide in this demo case documentation. Okay, after that, click the next button. Okay, click next. And on this page, you can see we have an option named automated routing domain configuration. As I just mentioned, Cloud Campus solutions support the underlay configuration automatically. Okay, so that you do not need to log in to the device and input the commands using manually. Okay, so the controller can finish the configuration. Okay, you just need to open or enable this option. Okay, enable this one. And for the AS number, you can this one can be user defined. Okay, and we are going to push the border to be the root reflector. Okay, and click confirm. the button. And after this one, the fabric will be created. Okay. And after you go to the fabric management, the page, you can see we already have the logic topology of the fabric, the border, the edge, and access switches. And you also can see that we have two different icons in blue here. One is external network, and second is network service resources. This one, the external network, means that external channel for the fabric to visit the outside wall, okay, outside wall. And in the topology, the firewall is that the fabric using to go to the internet. So what we are going to do is that we will define three different external network to the fabric so that the fabric can use these three different external network to access the internet. Okay, why we create three different external network? That's because we are going to create three different virtual network over the fabric. Okay, one external network for one virtual network. And to mention that, you can see on for the topology one, we may have three different physical links between the firewall and the border switch. And for scenario 2, I mean the topology 2 and the topology 3, we may have just one physical link between firewall and border switch. Okay, and no matter how much physical links between firewall and the border 1 or 3, you can also create multiple logic links so that the external network can use for the fabric to access the internet. Okay, for example, if you have just one physical link, you also can create three logic links. One use the, for example, use VLAN 10, and the second use VLAN 20, and the third use VLAN 30. And we are going to use different VLAN for different logic channel. So let's define or create three different external network. We click this one, and by default you can see nothing here. Okay, so you have to click the create button. And first, let's choose the type of the external network. And the first one is the layer 3 shared egress. That means this external network will be shared by multiple virtual networks. Okay. And the second one is that means these external networks can be just used by one virtual network. And the third one is that the external network will be set to layer 2 mode. Okay, and let's choose this one. Yeah, the second one. Okay, and click confirm. Okay, on this page, you can see that we are going to use three steps to finish the definition of the external network. The first one, general information, the name of the external network that can be user defined. Okay, and the external service IP address. Actually, this one is the destination route or destination network address that the controller will add it into the routing table of the border switch. Okay, we are going to use the 0.0.0.0, and actually this is a default route. Okay, default route. And after we finish the configuration, the AC 3.0 will add a default route into the routing table of the device that associates with one of the virtual network. Okay, and the external network we defined here also define the outgoing interface and the next hop of the device, the IP address. Okay, so let's go back to the interface here. The IP address here, you can follow the information here. External service IP address, we may use the default route. Okay, and the deliver static routes, let's enable the option. Okay, and click next. Okay, let's click next. And this step is about the interconnection information configuration. Okay, let's choose the border as the border device. That will be the device that connecting to the outside of the fabric. Okay, add the interconnection port here. The port number, follow the table here. Okay, and the VLAN, the IP address type, the local, the peer IP address. Okay, all follow the guide here and input the related information, the parameters here. Okay, and after that you can click the next button. Okay, let's click one of the external network so that you can see the detailed information. Okay, for the third page, the route configuration, you do not need to input any of the information here. Okay, just click the apply button. After that, we have already finished the one of the external network, and just using the same way to create 1, 2, 3 different external network. So after this step, we have already defined 3 different external networks. Okay, let's go to the second step. Configure the connections between fabric and configure the connection between fabric and the DHCP server, okay, and other servers. And you can also see that except the external network, you can also see we have a network service resources here. Let's click this one. You can see the page on the right. By default, you cannot see anything here. So we have to create a new one, a new network service resources. Let's go back to the topology here. And on the topology, you can see that this is our fabric. This is the external network, and those are the network resources. Okay, and you can see that for the network resources, we have AC 1.0. That will be the Radius server and the portal server. Okay, Radius server and portal server, and we also have the DHCP server that's using to assign the IP address to the stations. And for this step, we are going to configure the connections between the fabric and the network resources. Okay, you can click the create button to create a new one, and let's see the configuration that I have already created. You can also follow the information that contained in this data planning documentation, the name, the IP tab, and other information. So, okay, let's see one by one. Okay, this is the name, and this is the management IPv4 address. And for this information is used to told the AC 3.0 that which interface or which loopback interface is using to connect to the network resources. And if the controller find one of the loopback interface using this IP address or using the IP address inside of the subnet, okay, and the controller will use this interface to communicate with the Radius server, portal server, or DHCP server. And here you can choose one of the scenario. Okay, for this one, this means that we directly connect to a switch, and the switch is in bypass mode. So for this topology, we are going to choose this one and click next. Because that for the fabric, we are going to connect to the radio server, portal server, and DHCP server. So let's enable DHCP, radio server, portal server. Okay, and I'm going to input the IP address of the DHCP server in IPv4 or IPv6 mode, and select the select the radio server template that we defined in module 1. Okay, the radio server template, the portal server template, and also the URL IPv4 or IPv6 URL pushed by the portal server. Okay, just follow the guide. Okay, and click next. Okay, this is the interconnection information. Okay, let's choose the border as the interconnection device. That from the border, all of the fabric can access the network resource. Okay, and the external VLAN, that means the VLAN that the border using to connect to the switch. Okay, and the local IP address, the peer IP address in the mask. Okay, and click complete. After this one, the AC 3.0 will download the configuration that using to connect to the network resources into the border. Okay, this is the second step, now the last one for the fabric. Okay, the third part will be config the policy association. We all know that why we need policy association. Okay, let's go back to the topology and take A edge and A access, for example. Okay, and by the way, in a real scenario, the A edge may connect to plenty of access switches. Okay, one of them will be A access. And let's take A access, for example. And after we deploy the policy association, we will create a cap web tunnel between A edge and A access. Okay, we will establish a cap web tunnel. Okay, between the edge and access switches. And the policy association function is based on the cap web tunnel. And using the cap web tunnel, the access and the edge can communicate with each other. For example, to send and receive the authorization result of the user. And after we deploy the policy association, let's see the data flow. When a host connect to the campus network, the host first it need to be authenticated. Okay, so because that we have already deployed the policy association, and host will send the packet for authentication. Okay, the access will transparently forward the authentication packet to the authentication point A edge. Okay, and A edge will get the information and send it to the AC 1.0. Okay, it will communicate with the AC 1.0, which will be our AAA server, and AAA server will identify the user and to authorize the result and send the authorized result to the A edge. And after that, A edge will get the result of the user. For example, the user VLAN, for example, or user group, security group of the user authorization from the AC 1.0. And because we have already created the policy association between A edge and A access, so the A edge will using the cap web tunnel to tell the A access that the user is legal. Okay, so the A access, after it gets the information, it will open the interface so that the data flow of the hosts can be go through the A access and into the network. So this is the whole story. of the policy association. And then let's go back to the AC 3.0, and let's go to the provision fabric management and switch to access management page. You can see that we have two parts. The first one is the authentication control point. The second one is authentication execution point. Okay, for the authentication control point, that means our edge device. And for the authentication execution point, that will be the device that executes the authentication result. Okay, that will be our access switch. So the connection between the control point and access point will be the connection between the edge and access. So first, you can choose one of the edge device. For example, let's choose A edge first and open the authentication control point management parameter. You can see we have several parameters to configure. You can follow the information inside of the data planning. For example, for the A edge, the management VLAN of the access devices, we can using this one, 2110. So we click this one, we input this one, and the management IP address of a CapWap. This IP address, follow the guide. Okay, and this IP address will be assigned to the control point, which will be A edge. That means we will create a VLAN interface 2110, and we will assign this IP address into this interface. And for the number of execution point devices, you can move the icon. Okay, and this one will affect the mask length. Usually we may use the default value. Okay, we do not change this one. And let's go back. Let's go forward to the authentication control point port configuration. And let's follow the guide. Because that the A edge has a port connecting to the A access, and the A access has port connecting to the host. Okay, and we want that every single host coming from the access layer must be authenticated. So we must enable the authentication method on this interface. Okay, so you can find the interface ID in this in the data planning. Okay, so now for A edge, we are going to choose the interface GE1/1/7. Okay, in topology 3, this interface of A edge is using to connect to the A access. You can see the port number here. Okay, 1/1/7. Okay, so let's go back to the page. I'm going to configure the interface as extended access switch. That means this interface is using to connect to an extended access switch. Okay, and we also choose one of the authentication template that we have already defined in module 1. And in this topology, we want to deploy .1x authentication for host 1 and 2. So for the interface of the A edge, we must choose the MAC and the .1x authentication template. Okay, and then we will automatically have the MAC authentication and the .1x authentication enabled on this interface. Okay, this is the interface of A edge, and let's move to the authentication execution port device. The system will automatically discover all of the interfaces of the access switch. This one will be the access switch on the topology that connecting to a edge. And because that two of the interfaces of this switch is using to connect to the host, so we must define these two interfaces, and you can also follow the guide here. For example, the A access, we must configure the GE0/0/1 to the type of connecting to the station. Okay, and inherit the authentication template on authentication control point port. What's that mean? For example, we all know that we have already enabled the authentication on this interface, and we assign the authentication template to this interface, right? And for these two interfaces of A access, we can inherit the authentication template of the authentication control point port. So let's go back to the A access, and for GE0/0/1, we can define the port stator to connect to stations, and the same as the GE0/0/3, and enable this option. Okay, enable these two options, and after that we can click apply button. Okay. This is for A edge, and let's go to B edge. And for B edge, we can also follow the parameters contained in this documentation. Okay. For the management VLAN, management IP address, and the interface that connect to access switch 1/1/7. So for 1/1/7, the connected device type will be extended access switch. And we must choose the authentication template to MAC and .1x. This is the interface that connect to the B access. And you can see that we also have another interface. We have another interface in the documentation and for this interface is also defined to connect to the extended access switch and associate with the portal authentication template. Okay, and for this interface, you cannot find the interface in the topology because that we just pick up one interface that even we are not using this one. Okay, interface that do not connecting to anything. All we doing this is that we are deploying the portal authentication template into the device. So in order to finish the configuration, we have to choose any of the interface and to associate with the portal authentication template. Okay. And for the B access switch, as you can see that we have a GE0/0/1 connected to an AP, and 0/0/3 connect to an station, a PC. Okay, so we are going to define 1 and port 3. Okay, 1 is the extended AP, and the interface 3 will be connect to station and inherit the authentication template on authentication control point port. Okay, after that, click the apply button. And after the configuration, we have already finished the configuration of the policy association. Okay, so we have already finished the step 1, step 2, and let's move to the step 3.